Piali momachtiani, tlaskamati sampa timomachtise yankwik tlamantli. Hey everyone, thanks for coming again. Today we're going to learn something new. So for today's lesson, we're going to learn two main things. One is what we call te and tla, and I'll tell you what those mean. Those are types of prefixes. And also the other prefix are ayi and ayoke, which means, so we're saying not yet and no more or no longer. Okay, first up, a couple new words. Kokolistli. Kokolistli. Remember the word nimokokoa means I am sick. Literally, I hurt myself. Or I'm making myself feel pain. So kokolistli is the noun form of this, which means a sickness, a disease, a pandemic. Any of those things is a kokolistli. Kualantli. Kualantli is a problem. Any kind of problem or conflict between people. This is related to the word kualani, which means to get mad or upset. Here's the word kualani, which means it's an action word, which means you get upset. For example, nikwalani, which means I get mad. Tikwalani, you get mad. And the opposite of that is going to be wetska. Related to wetska is ishwetska. Ishwetska is to smile. In other words, you're laughing with your face. Ish, from ishtli, and wetska, to laugh. Ishwetska. Ni ishwetska, I laugh. Now we're going to see the word ayikana. Ayikana in the Huasteca means not yet. Not yet. The short form of this is ayi. And if you say ayi, you're going to fuse it directly onto the verb, onto the action word. So, for example, let's see examples. Ayikana niTLAkwa. I'm not going to cook yet. So here it means not yet. Not going to do something yet. Ayikana niTLAkwa. I'm not going to cook yet. Shimochia. Wait. You can also say ayi as a prefix. Ayi ni tlacualchihuas. Shimochia. So there, ayi means the same thing as ayikana. It's just the shortened form. If you say ayi, it's going to be the very first thing in front of everything. In front of the subjects, in front of the objects, in front of all the other prefixes, first goes ayi. Not yet. You could also say ayikana tlami tlaawetsi. So ayikana means not yet. Tlami, it finishes or stops. Tlaawetsi, to rain. So not yet, it stops to rain. So reword this into English, it means not yet does it stop raining. It has not stopped raining yet. It has not stopped raining yet. It doesn't stop raining yet. And you could also say ayitlami. Ayitlami tlaawetsi. Okay, so we're putting the ayi in front of the word tlami because we're saying it's not yet stopping. Okay, if I want to say it's not yet raining, then I'll say ayi tlaawetsi. I'll put the ayi in front of the tlaawetsi. That would mean it's not raining yet. If I say ayi tlami tlaawetsi, it hasn't finished. It hasn't stopped raining yet. The opposite, well, a related word to ayi is ayokana. Sometimes usually said ayokana or ayohana. So it depends on how you say those two K's in the Huasteca. Ayokana. No longer. Not anymore. Kind of one of those things. It kind of means both of those things. No longer, not anymore. So look for which one makes the most sense to translate. We can say the reduced form of this is ayok. Ayok. So I could say ayokana ni mitzpalewis. Ayokana ni mitzpalewis. So ayokana, no more, ni mitzpalewis. I will help you. No more, I will help you means I will not help you anymore. Not anymore. So in the negative kind of means not anymore. So I'm not going to help you anymore. It could also say ayok ni mitzpalewis. That would be the shortened form. Ayok ni mitzpalewis. Ayokana tlaeheka. Ayokana tlaeheka. Tlaeheka is the action word, which means it's windy. So no longer is it windy. It's not windy anymore. It's not windy anymore. And the prefix form, the shortened form is ayok tlaawetsi. Ayok tlaawetsi. Now these ayok and ayi kana, or the ayi and ayok, they do change a little bit depending on the variety. So center varieties have something similar, but they'll be different words. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Next, we have te and tla. So let's go back a little bit to some rules about verbs, about action words, especially transitive verbs. Okay, for this section, we're only talking about transitive verbs. Every transitive verb has a subject, right? Who's doing the action? I'm doing the action, you're doing the action, she's doing the action, we are doing the action, they are doing the action, y'all are doing the action. That's a given. But remember, if it's a transitive verb, you're doing an action to someone, you have to have an object. For example, I see you, I see him, I see them, they see me. Okay, so now we have someone who's receiving that object. And we saw before it's, nech towards me, meets towards you, ki towards him or her. We've seen those prefixes already. If we say te or tla, that's going to take the place of that object. And it's going to have a new meaning. So let's see what that meaning is. So here, remember, a transitive verb like ita, you can't say it just by itself. Just ni ita cannot mean I see. That makes no sense. So why? Because the verb see in Nahuatl, to see, is transitive. So it has to have an object. So I can't just put the subject and think everything's okay now. Ni ita, I see. Okay, so you can't say that. So what if you want to just say, well, I see. I don't want to say who I'm seeing. I just want to say I see in general. Well, that's what this te and tla prefix is going to help us. Okay, so the transitive verb again. It can be satisfied. It has to be satisfied with an object. For example, nech or meets or ki or tech, etc. So if you don't use those, it can also be satisfied with te or tla. So what is te and tla? Te means you're doing an action towards someone, but you're not saying who, just towards someone, towards people. Tla means you do an action towards something. Right? You're doing an action towards something, but you're not saying what that thing is. Okay, this is where you're not specifying. It's non-specific. You're not specifying who's receiving the action. So I could say niTEkwa. That would mean I see people. I see people. niTEkwa. I'm not saying I see him, I see her, I see you. I'm not specifying who I'm seeing. I'm just saying I see people, implying people. TLA, you see people. TLA, he sees people. TLA, we see people. TLA, y'all see people. TLA, they see people. Now, instead of saying te, what if I put a tla in there? Remember, te is for people, tla is for things. So this would just mean I see stuff. niTLAkwa, which no one really ever says, but that would mean I see stuff, right? When would you have to say I see stuff? But that's how you would say this. niTLAkwa, I see stuff. niTEkwa, I see people. And the verb's happy because we satisfied it with an object. niTLAkwa. So remember we saw the word tlakwa and kwa? Well, this explains it. Kwa means to eat something specifically. You're specifying what you're eating. Nikkwa nakat. I eat meat. Nikkwa tlaxcali. I eat tortillas. Nikkwa et. I eat beans. But if I say niTLAkwa, I'm not specifying now. There's no ki there, right? I'm not saying nikkwa. I'm not specifying what I'm eating. I'm just saying I'm eating in general. niTLAkwa, I eat things. niTLAkwa, you eat. Tlakwa, she eats. niTLAkwa, we eat. Intlakwa, y'all eat. Tlakwa, they eat. One of these in this example has a mistake. Can you spot the error? Is it niTLAkwa, niTEita, Maria Tlakwa, or Tiita Juan? Well, the first one has a tla, so it satisfies the kwa. The next one has a te, so it satisfies the verb ita. Maria Tlakwa, that has the tla, so it satisfies the verb kwa. Tiita Juan, it has the subject ti, but it doesn't have the object te or tla. Or actually in here it would have to be ki, tik, ita, because we're specifying who we're seeing, Juan. So you can't say ni tiTEita Juan, you see people Juan, it doesn't make sense. But I could say you see Juan, tikita Juan, tikita Juan. How about in this one? More examples. You can pause the video if you want to try and figure it out. Which one of these has a mistake in it? Is it Juan Kwa, Maria te palewia, na ni te palewia, Maria Kochi, Juan Tekwa? Okay, so right off the bat, it's not going to be 2 or 3 or 5. They all have te, so they're all satisfying the verb. 1 and 4 don't have a te, so we have one of these is going to be the mistake. Juan Kwa or Maria Kochi. Juan Kwa means Juan eats. Maria Kochi means Maria sleeps. That's what it's trying to say. Well, sleep is okay because it's intransitive. You don't sleep something, you just sleep, you just do it. So it cannot have te or tla, and it's already good enough just by itself. Number 1, Juan Kwa, it's missing a tla or an object. So it doesn't make sense. Okay, let's see this another example. We have the word that we use all the time, machtia, which means to teach someone something. It's transitive. How do we know? Because it says you're doing it to someone, to teach someone. So I could say, ni mits machtia, I teach you. Ni mo machtia, I teach myself. This is how you say I study, I learn. Ni tla machtia, I teach stuff. Ni te machtia, I teach people. So there's a slight difference between niTLAmachtia and niTEmachtia. One implies that you're teaching things, right, like a subject matter, and the other one implies that you're teaching people. But they both mean to teach. Okay, so these are important for those adjectives that we've seen before. How to say right? Fight learn teach So this is where it's important, because if you're gonna say someone who does that action with get that we've seen before, if it's transitive, it has to be satisfied here. And this is where we can use te or tla to satisfy it. Ni machtihketl doesn't make sense. Ni machtihketl to be a teacher doesn't make sense. Ni pahtihketl to mean I'm a healer doesn't make sense. These are all transitive verbs, but they're missing either a te or a tla. Ni chokaketl, I'm a crybaby, that does make sense, because choka is not transitive, so it's good enough like that. Ni nehnenketl, from the verb nehnemi, to walk. I'm a walker, I'm a wanderer. That makes sense, because nehnemi is not transitive. Okay, so here, our last slide is we got some example exercises for y'all to try. How do you say traveler if the verb to travel is pashaloa? Notice how I put ni? That means it's intransitive. You only take a subject. But look at number 2, palewia, that means to help someone. So this is a nik. To use this verb, it has a subject and an object. That's why it says nik. Nik means it's transitive. Eater, how do you say eater? From TLAkwa. TLAkwa means to eat. And ni means I do it. Ni. So this is, technically kwa is transitive, but when we say TLAkwa, it's a satisfied transitive. So now you can't say nik. It's satisfied already. So you just say niTLAkwa, I eat. Number 4, a liar. Istlakati means to lie. It doesn't mean to lie to someone, it just means to lie. Okay, so to lie, right, to tell a lie, that's intransitive. To tell a lie to someone, that's transitive, at least in Nahuatl. So istlakati is just a ni verb. It's intransitive. How do you say commander? If nahuatia means to command someone. And by the way, nahuatia is transitive. How do we know? Because it says nik there in the example, in the definition. So good dictionaries will have something like this. One of the first linguists of Nahuatl was actually a Spanish Franciscan priest, Motolinia. And he came up with this convention because he understood that Nahuatl verbs are particular in how you use them. So this is something he came up with like 500, almost 500 years ago, 450 years ago, 470 years ago, roughly. And it works. It works. So, traveler. A traveler is a paxalohquetl. Paxalohquetl. No te or tla, it's intransitive. Helper, tlapalewihquetl. Someone who helps with things. Tepalewihquetl. You could also say someone who helps people. Eater, tlacuahquetl. Tlacuahquetl. Liar, istlacatiquetl. Istlacatiquetl. Commander, tlanahuatihquetl. Tlanahuatihquetl. All right. If you need more examples, have any questions or confusion, post them in the comment section down below. And besides that, I hope you've liked and subscribed to these videos. Las Kamate, I'll see you all for episode Mahtlaktli 1 Ome.